Hey, so what's going on, everybody? It's Bob Dzienis from Coldwell Banker here in northern New Jersey. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Today I'm coming to you from my car, which means I'm taking you on a neighborhood tour. Today I'm actually in Passaic County in a town called Woodland Park. Woodland Park is super convenient to New York City, totally drivable. It's about 15 miles or so from New York City. Woodland Park actually sits right between Route 80 and Route 46. It's about 3 square miles or so. Not the biggest town, and actually as you're driving, you might have no idea that you just drove through it actually. So today I want to talk about what the benefits are, what people like about living in Woodland Park. There's a couple of great parks here that a lot of people come to. You've got basketball courts, you've got picnic tables, hiking trails, an equestrian area. Prices aren't overly bad, so we'll talk about real estate as well, talk about the schools, and get into some of the amenities that you can find here in Woodland Park. All right, sound good? So let's just get right into it. So like I said up front, Woodland Park actually sits about 15 miles or so from New York City. Sits between Route 80 as well as Route 46. So you easily can get on Route 80 to take you to New York City if you're considering going to the George Washington Bridge in the northern section of the city. Or you can take Route 46, which can easily get you to Route 3 and then into the Lincoln Tunnel, so you can easily get into Midtown as well. Towns that surround Woodland Park, you've got Clifton, you have Little Falls, you have Totowa, as well as Paterson. So actually this town used to be called West Paterson a few years ago. They actually changed the name to Woodland Park. And what's funny is I actually lived here many years ago. One of my first apartments was here in Woodland Park, AKA West Paterson. So I'll quickly take you to that development so you can see where my first apartment was in that development. And when it comes to commuting, I'll tell you, it's easily drivable to New York City, but commuting here isn't necessarily that easy. You can always go on New Jersey Transit just to check to see what might be available. So buses don't really run through here. But I do have a tip, what I used to do when I worked in New York City. So I'll give you that tip when we start talking about some of the amenities. Like I also mentioned, there's a couple of parks here that you definitely want to check out. And when you drive through these parks, or maybe you consider hiking through here, you get some sweeping views of parts of Passaic County as well as New York City. So I'll take you to check that out as well. All right, so what's the real estate market like here? Well, home prices are going for a little bit over $500,000 or so. Of course, you're going to have homes that are above that as well as below that. You have varying styles of homes that are located here in Woodland Park. From Cape Cods to colonials to bi-levels to split levels, there's all kinds of options here. And the majority of the community is actually kind of on the slope of the mountain itself, so it's facing on the west side of Woodland Park, more toward the Passaic River. But you do have some larger homes that are at the top of the mountain here as well. If you're considering rentals, there's a large apartment complex that's here called Westmount Village, and that's the place I lived. It was like my first apartment oh so long ago, where I lived with a very good friend of mine, Janie. I know you're watching. I hope you're watching, so shout out to you. But rentals are typically, let's say, the high 1,000s to mid 2,000s or so, I would say. There's also a 55 plus community here, which is called the Four Seasons at Great Notch. And home prices there go for about $600, mid 600s to over $700,000. And there's a pretty wide range in regards to property taxes here in Woodland Park as well. You could be looking at property taxes, let's say around $9,000 to $10,000, and that can take you into the mid 15, 16 range as well. Again, depending on property size and the amount of land. One thing I will tell you is there is some flood zones that are here in this area, especially if you're toward the Passaic River itself. And the Passaic River sits at the bottom of Woodland Park, so it's at the bottom of the mountain. So if you were to consider a home purchase here, I would definitely consider just looking at the listings themselves and just checking FEMA maps to see if the home resides in a flood zone or not. Okay, so that gives you kind of the lay of the land here of real estate in Woodland Park. Why don't we go do some neighborhood tours of the area so you can check it out. Okay, so when it comes to the amenities here in Woodland Park, it actually has a lot to offer. People come from far and wide. There's 2 big parks that are located here. Really, really great for hiking, bringing your family, sitting at some picnic tables. There's playgrounds. Definitely a lot of nature up here in this section of Woodland Park. Berkeley College also has a campus here in Woodland Park. And as you make your way down the mountain, let's say toward Route 46, you've got Little Falls, and there's tons of shopping in that area. You've got a Best Buy, you've got a Kohl's. Little Falls, which is literally across the street, which is across Route 46, you can easily get to a ShopRite. Clifton also has shopping, and that's very close as well. There's also plenty of shops and restaurants along Browertown Road as well as Patterson Avenue. But a lot of residents as well as people around the area will come to Garrett Mountain Reservation as well as Rifle Camp Park. Both are beautiful scenic areas where you can go hiking. There's an equestrian area, so there's horses. You've got basketball courts, you've got playgrounds, picnic tables, and a lot of open space as well in both of these areas. So with all the hustle and bustle that surrounds Woodland Park, it's really a serene, nice place that you can bring family or just go for a hike. A couple of other amenities that are here in Woodland Park is the Westmount Country Club. It doesn't have golf, but it is a catering facility. Beautiful spot for weddings and parties and that kind of stuff. A popular diner that's here in Woodland Park is the Park West Diner. I'll tell you, I hit that diner a few times back in the day. Of course, you can get some delicious standard fare there as well as your disco fries. And if you know Jersey, you know disco fries. And another really popular spot, even though the address says it's in Little Falls, it's literally on the border of Woodland Park on Route 46. Called the Great Notch Inn, and if you're into beers, bikers, bar food, and bands, that's hard to say. The Great Notch Inn has been a staple in this community for years and years. It's a fun time. So let's talk now about commuting options here in Woodland Park. Like I said, it's probably best to check out NewJerseyTransit.com to see what kind of bus options there are. You might also be able to hit some trains nearby, so Montclair is not far from here, but you're not necessarily going to find, let's say, a very direct route to New York City. Drivability, though, is really simple. Like I said, you're very close to Route 80 as well as close to Route 46. So one commuting option is the bus, and I used to do this when I lived here in Woodland Park. So not too far from here is a mall. It's in Wayne, New Jersey. It's called the Willowbrook Mall. It's literally about a 5-minute drive from here, maybe 10 minutes. And basically it's a park and ride area. So you can park your car. There's the 193 bus. There's a couple of other buses as well. And basically that's an express bus that will take you right to the Lincoln Tunnel. There's no stops beyond that. So it's pretty simple. You just park your car there, get on the bus, and then you're within a half hour to 45 minutes, you're actually in Midtown at the Port Authority. And that's what I used to do when I commuted into the city. I would drive over to the Willowbrook Mall, park my car, and just get right on the bus. All right, next up, let's talk about the schools here in Woodland Park. So I always recommend to my clients, do your Google research of schools. I give clients niche.com, niche.com as a starting point. That allows you to look up community information and school information, and a lot of people will provide insights. Many residents provide insights about their experiences with the school system and just living in that area. So the schools here in Woodland Park get about a B rating according to niche.com, but again, just check out other sources that you can find on Google. And Woodland Park offers 2 elementary schools. You've got Beatrice Gilmore as well as Charles Olbon, and that's for kids up to 4th grade. Then you've got the Memorial Middle School, which is grades 5 through 8, and then the main public high school is Passaic Valley High School. So not only are Woodland Park students there, but you've also got Little Falls and also students from Totowa. But again, my recommendation is get on the Google. Maybe start with niche.com as a starting point. That'll give you some perspective, but Google, make it your friend. All right, so there you go. Some information on Woodland Park, New Jersey, here in the beautiful Passaic County. With some beautiful open space parks, relatively reasonable real estate prices here, as well as nearby amenities, shopping and restaurants. You've got all kinds of options right nearby. Woodland Park might be an area you want to put on your home shopping list. So listen, if you have any questions whatsoever about Woodland Park, Passaic County, or anywhere here in northern New Jersey, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Here's my information coming across the screen now. I'm happy to answer any specific questions that you have. So again, I'm Bob Dzienis with Coldwell Banker here in northern New Jersey. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video.